Strength is not, we think strength is you never get tired.
Yeah.
Strength is you never feel tired. You never meet something you can't do. But biblically, in the life of Christ, that's not the way strength's defined.
And it's what we gravitate toward, right? I mean, a lot of times that's what we're looking for in a leader, that they never fail, that they're always going, And I think for Jesus to display something so radically different, this sort of this laying your life down for people, the chief servant of all, it just flies in the face of everything our culture says should be strong leadership. And it's beautiful, and I think it's one of those things that challenges us too in the season where maybe everyone's confused. We're coming out of 2020. Everyone's looking for let's have some clarity where we're going to go. And then you meet this God who meets you where you're at, that walks with you in a gentle, lowly way, that doesn't add more burden onto you like everybody else's, who isn't there going, you got to do more, you got to dig deeper. It's not the God that we find in the Bible. And it's a beautiful thing, and it should be really freeing for us to go, Jesus is meeting us where we're at, and he's walking with us in that gentle and lowly way. It's beautiful.
One of the things that I was picking up on, and even in that context of what you're talking about, strength and defining strength and what does that actually mean? One of the things I've noticed lately and been spending a lot of time thinking about is that in American culture, we have a high value for what we call independence. And I wonder at that. I wish there were a sociological history way to go back and figure out how we came to that. Because I suspect it's because we've conflated, independence from oppression with what we call independence on a personal level. I suspect it's because we said, well, no taxation without representation. Therefore, I need to be able to stand on my own 2 feet, and I don't need a girlfriend. I don't need a boyfriend. I don't need a wife. I don't need a husband. I don't need my parents to help out with anything. I don't need friends. I can plow through and be strong and independent on my own.
I don't need to cut my hair.
Right. But it's just so interesting that that's happened, and I don't know how that came about. That's my suspicion. Maybe there's a connection there with, which is funny because those are such wildly different things, right? Independence from oppression and independence from community and people and relationship and needing to stand on your own is very, very silly. But it's interesting, the message that I was preaching on was Jesus as our advocate. And it's funny because, an advocate is one of those things that happens much more in collectivist cultures and much less in individualist cultures like ours. And yet, it's not the kind of thing that you can avoid, right? We still have a word for advocate in American English. We still know what it means. We've still witnessed people advocating for others. We've still, witnessed those moments. But really, it's maybe a little uncomfortable for us. We're comfortable saying, I am an advocate. It's hard for us to say, I need an advocate. Because it feels like we failed an American value of independence. To say, I need you to show up for me. I need you to, it's to me, as it reminds me of being a little kid and I'm too scared to go order, McDonald's, and my parents go and order for me, and I remember actually vividly the moment when I was probably 7 or 8 and they said, here's, $5, go to McDonald's and order for yourself. And I was like, I need an advocate, someone help, someone go for me. But it's so interesting that I think in God's view of humanity, of what's healthy, there is something beautiful about depending on each other, about needing each other. And that in God's view of strength, there's something beautiful, there's something strong about saying, I can't. I need you. Jeff, will you take the honor and the strength and the influence that you have, and will you go to this place for me and advocate for me? Will you show up on my behalf? Because I can't. I don't have it on my own. And that's a really beautiful thing.
That honestly was probably one of the, I think, harder realities for me as I was kind of working through the book, but then, just personally, I followed Jesus my whole life. And I really believe I had more of an agnostic, theology without knowing it. He did his work. He's all done. And now I got to do my work. I need to be a good soldier. I need to, suck it up, buttercup spirituality and get going. And so I'm working through this idea of him being my advocate. I'm going why am I should be weeping. I should be overwhelmed by the fact that Jesus's work didn't end with death, resurrection, and ascension. He's still doing a work. And why can't I connect with that? Why can't I not be why is that not impactful? Well, because I'm independent, because I'm going like, I got this, God. Like, I got this figured out. Like, you did your deal. You did your work. And now it's time for me to do my work. So, God, I'm not sure if I need you to intervene in my life too much. I'm just going to get going. And I was like, whoa. I mean, it was like, it took my breath away that I had gotten to a point where I had followed Jesus long enough where I was like, I can't connect with the fact that he's advocating to me, for me, to God. Like, he's still doing the work that he began. And I'm like, oh man. So I just went through like massive amounts of repenting through that and going like, I want to reconnect with this. Like, I need help. I need you. I need you to do, and I want to be grateful for that, you know? Yeah. And so I think I probably struggle with that reality. I've struggled with grace, I think, because grace goes, you can't earn it, you know? Like, so I'm like, wow, I really need to dig into this. So again, so much of this is like, when you start realizing the goodness of God is not just this meta reality. It's just this very micro reality that it can bring unbelievable amounts of clarification to, why am I so tired? You know, this is that passage. Why am I so worn out? You know, this is what you were drawing out. Like,
I thought that was so funny in that idea of, so the gentle and lowly is the second half of the thought that Jesus is bringing forth, that if you come to me who are weary and heavy laden, I will give you rest. Just that idea that Jesus had been with humans as a human for 33 years at that point. You know, he had walked with them. You know, he'd been with the disciples specifically for that much time that he was talking to. Just his conclusion was, if you come to me, I'm gonna give you guys rest. And I almost feel like either he was probably making fun of them a little bit in that. He's like, you people are crazy. You people are so strung out and worn out. People are so weighed down. If you come to me, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get nothing but just a nap. Because you guys are so, and I mean, I told the joke, like when I was in New York City, I was just walking around and all these people just up all night. It's true. City never sleeps. But they look like they've never slept. They look exhausted and worn out. And I was just like,
I know it's the same thing about New Yorkers. You're like, go to sleep.
And so that's probably why you're so angry.
Yes. And so Jesus, that's what he was saying. And obviously the you know, not funny reality is that the burden that people are carrying, there is a heavy load to our humanity, just dealing with our sinful nature, dealing with the sinful nature of those around us, and then the true, you know, graphic statistical realities of how much pain people really are enduring is intense. So I mean, so it's a real nice thing that Jesus is giving. He's not just making fun of us, he's actually trying to help too.